Hello, everybody. This is Reverend Ivy Rivera, psychic medium. Welcome to the Ask a Medium radio show at the Ivy League Psychic Academy here in Buffalo, New York, where we train people in psychic mediumship development, astrology, tarot, Reiki, all kinds of things, energetic and spiritual. We welcome you guys to send your questions into the show either by logging on at para-x.com, or you can text your questions into 716-602-1391. I'm going to give that one more time. And when I'm saying, you can call in with your questions, you can call in about the topic that we're on for that day. You could also ask a psychic or mediumship question, paranormal, lost objects, whatever it happens to be. So again, you can log in at para-x.com or text at 716-602-1391. Now, I have my lovely co-host with me here again, Tree. How are you, Tree?
I'm great. How are you? Hello, everyone.
Awesome. So Tree is one of my best graduates. She is a psychic medium as well, and investigating a lot in paranormal lately, and she also works with a lot of crystals and stones, making her jewelry line. And so, love having you here, Trey. We're going to be talking on some pretty interesting stuff tonight that's been coming up a great deal about life contracts, also known as soul contracts. What are they? Why do people need to know what is in their life contract? How does it affect your life if you're not living within your life contract? We're also going to be talking about walk-ins, multiple souls or soul attachments, wanderers, and we want to delve a little bit into why it is that people may have what we sometimes think is multiple personality disorder, or huge changes of life in personality, character, what they're drawn to, how their relationships are. We want to examine why that may happen from a more spiritual perspective, on a soul note, where you may actually have multiple souls living in you, or one soul traded out and now you're another soul, or things like this. So this is a really interesting topic, and it's been coming up a great deal. Before we get into that, I want to do a quick rundown of a couple of the classes that we have coming up at the Ivy League Psychic Academy. You guys are more than welcome to Skype in from around the world. Sometimes we can FaceTime you in also. Or if you can get here, the Academy is located at 4511 Main Street in Amherst, New York. And we have Empathic Means class coming up this Thursday, which covers psychic ability, mediumistic ability, empathic ability, and how empathic ability is considered a disorder. It affects other disorders such as ADHD, OCD, bipolar, depression, anxiety disorders, and a whole lot of other things that tend to be overlooked. So come in for Empathic Means class if you need it or know someone who has been dealing with any of these things to learn how to better control it and get empowered with your abilities. We also have a drum circle coming up this month with Carolyn Zimmerman, Western New York's drum lady. She's totally amazing. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have a couple level 1 psychic mediumship development classes starting soon. So also tarot training and astrology basics, including Mercury in retrograde. What does that mean for you? A lot of people have been wondering. All of these classes are going to be fantastic. And when they're a series, you can actually drop in. You do not have to sign up for the entire thing. Check out more at ivyleaguepsychicacademy.com. Quick introduction, if you guys are looking to check out more about Tree, where can they find you, Tree? How can they reach out to you?
They can find me on Facebook under my name, Theresa, Theresa, Matuszak, Matuszak, and I also have an email, which is treestrunk@outlook.com.
Okay, very good. And what is the name of the website?
The Facebook?
Oh, is that the Facebook page?
Facebook, yeah.
Okay, got it. All right, and if you guys are looking for a full reading for Tree, that's how you can reach her. If you're looking for a full reading with me, and I am running a Christmas special right now, you can find me at Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com, and on Facebook. Okay, We will be taking callers, we'll be taking questions in a little bit, but I want to get to this first, okay? So this is pretty interesting. Lately, it's been coming up a great deal. People wanting to know, what is a life contract all about? Why is it important that I understand this? And what we just did at class last night, right, was we were figuring out how to sit down with someone receiving a reading, which they're called the sitters. We were learning how to sit down with a sitter and read their life contract. Find out what agreements they made before they came to Earth, what gifts they equipped themselves with, and what exactly they're supposed to be doing with their lives. Mm-hmm. And what is your opinion on this? Because the big question is, oh my God, well, if this thing does really exist, am I within it? Am I actually doing it? What is your opinion on it? What if you're not?
The funny thing is that last night when you mentioned we're going to do this, immediately I became terrified. I'm like, oh God, because I always wonder what I can and can't do, But then you just basically, like, what I did is just ask, like, okay, so I'm sitting in front of so-and-so, and may I see their life contract? And it seems like there it is in front of you, and right. You just kind of start to pick up on what it is. It's really interesting. It's really interesting to see what may have transpired for other people and so forth, and I'm always frightened of what somebody's going to get about me, that's for sure, because you never know.
And if it's in there, you kind of have to do it.
Right? Yeah.
So it's kind of like, as long as I'm oblivious, like, ignorance is bliss, am I going to have to, what does this mean? What if I have to go start, like, doing math or something? This could be awful. So, yeah, we're like, we don't know. We don't know what's going to come up. And it was amazing to watch the difference in the room, because we had, maybe, 12, 15 people in the room, whatever. Yeah. Every life contract was so different from the next. And did you see how many people were picking up on past lives? Meaning that their past life or past lives, which brings up the topic of reincarnation. Is this possible? Yes, absolutely, especially when you're looking at life contracts. But the topic of how many past lives were affecting these lives.
This current life, yeah.
Right. Now, did you have that in your chart at all?
Yeah, actually, the lady who read me brought up a very far back past life. I really don't know how far back it was, but apparently I was a Native American healer. And she told me exactly what I looked like and what I did. And apparently I would speak to women of the communities, and it's almost like empowering them. I wish I would know what a time frame, because it was great. But it was interesting because everybody else was getting, like, past life stuff. But I think I was the only one who got her current life, like, something that affected the immediate past into this one. It's like there was a, I want to say, like, a stipulation. In order for her to come forward, she had to agree to this. It was like a side contract on the contract. It was pretty interesting.
Yes, it really is. It really is. It's incredible stuff. Hold on one second. What's that?
I'll just deliver the questions in whenever you're ready.
Okay, so we're going to talk about this for one more second. I'm just going to say this one more time, okay? For those of you, you have? Okay. So for those of you, who want to call and ask any questions on this topic, feel free. But also, again, you guys can log in or call into para-x.com or text your questions at 716-602-1391. So with your life contract, you were basically seeing that some of the work that you're carrying over from a previous life is when you were like a medicine woman or a tribal person, but you were dealing with medicine. You said you were empowering women.
Yeah, it was like I was described to me as a healer, where I was basically helping women and helping the community, I guess, to move forward. But I guess I would have these group sessions with women of the tribe or whomever was there, and just helping them to feel better about themselves and be more assertive and to move forward. And I guess I could see myself
this is totally this is completely what you do. Yeah. Right? And the thing is that could be something that's lingering, not because you necessarily died a tragic death and you didn't get to finish your work and this is like overwhelming. I must do this, even if it doesn't fit in with the rest of my life. I feel like I'm two different people, or I'm pulled in two different areas. You don't feel it that intensely, correct? I mean, you feel it more like this is something you used to do. This is something you continue to do. It's in your roots, and that's all there is to it.
Pretty much. I mean, it definitely helps to explain why I feel such a need to just help people in general.
Right.
You know, no matter what circumstances are or whatever, if I can actually help somebody, I'll do it with every ounce of being that I have to help the person if I'm able to do it.
Absolutely. So I love that. And, you know, it's important to recognize that some of us do, unfortunately, come to Earth, and we may have one life, maybe multiple lives where they were cut short or something tragic did happen and we didn't finish what we were trying to do. So you may have a really intense pull to fulfill some kind of a task, even if you know that the majority of your personality and your life journey is to do something completely different. You may feel like, I have to be a lawyer. I have to go do this. This is where my passion is, and I'm willing to take on that journey. But at the same time, you may feel something very, very random, like, I just feel like I have to go and be a psychic medium. I just feel like I have to go and be a healer. I just feel like I have to branch off and do this. You don't know where that's coming from. A lot of people have multiple things going on, and so sometimes you do need to look back into your past lives and see what needs to be finished up. Same thing with relationships and the people that we get involved in. Mm-hmm. Okay, very cool. Well, I know we have some questions coming in here, and I want to get to the first one here, and then we're going to switch over, and my dear producer Kara here is going to be sending them over to us. First question that we have coming in, this is from Nick, and he says, I've been seeing ladybugs lately. What is the significance, if any? Does this even mean anything? Let me see what we're getting with that. Okay. Well, the first thing that I'm getting is a grandfather coming through, trying to put these on your path and to let you know, almost like to alert you to wake up to good luck, which is really what they represent. But I'm feeling also like prosperity with this. And it's like, wake up, watch for the opportunities. It feels like you're being surrounded by a few opportunities for like the next 4 months. Tree, what are you getting with that?
Well, I was definitely going to say that ladybugs themselves are a sign of good fortune. They are a sign of good luck. And our loved ones do like to put things in front of us to just kind of make us alert to what may be going on, whether it is a ladybug, a spider, a cardinal. They do represent our loved ones that do want to say hello or say, hey, look at here. In this case, he's lucky enough to have a ladybug who is lucky in itself with prosperity and everything else. So I do believe there are relatives that are saying hello. I do believe that they are saying, hey, look, opportunities are knocking, or they're about to. Yep. Pay attention.
It's also interesting that ladybugs and bees, okay, both that feel like, you know, good luck and prosperity, mm-hmm. have a way of showing up in the tundra of Buffalo in like insurmountable circumstances, and they're like just in random places feeling fine. So we do have to look at that too. Right now it's not that bad, but it does happen all the time. That is a sign when this animal is there and it has really no business of being there. That really lets you know. And it really is way too cold for this right now. So that's bizarre in itself. Yeah. That's awesome. So yeah, congratulations. Listen up, watch up, open your eyes. Yes. Other questions?
Yeah, actually we have one from Elizabeth, and Elizabeth says, hello everyone. I have a question if you don't mind. Is the spirit that's with me my mom? And if not, who is it? And if so, what does she want? Thank you.
Okay, let's see what we're getting with this. I do feel like this is your mother a great deal of the time, but I feel a couple people switching out from being around you. I feel like you have a joy guide who's in really, really close with you, who could read as your mom because she's a female and because she is so very close in with all of your affairs. We have guides who are there for different portions of our lives. We have a work guide. We have a relationship guide. When we're talking about your joy guide, who is your spiritual development guide, this one is like your right-hand man or woman. This was probably your imaginary friend when you were a kid. You could have a very close sense that this person is with you all the time, helping you to deal with even mundane things throughout the day or smaller events in your life. So I feel like you're getting a lot of that. I feel like as far as mom is concerned, I do feel like she's with you a great deal, but she has a tendency to come in and out more than this other person. And so I would say watch for her in times, especially when it feels like you're trying to either take on too much, or it feels like which is now, or it feels like you're trying to organize things. You're trying to figure out like what is important, what am I supposed to be focusing on? She's been around a great deal more lately. Tree, what are you getting with that?
There's a lady. I'm definitely getting a lady. She's kind of a short to medium in height. Maybe 5'4", 5'5". Very lovely. She kind of comes and goes. It's like she jumps in there when she feels like just kind of saying, "Hey, I'm here. I love you," and just kind of bringing nothing but love and goodness to you. She's just really just visiting. I'm not really picking up on a relationship, but I'm definitely feeling more of a guide type of female. I'm thinking somewhere around relationship, maybe. Like a relationship guide that is just kind of in there. And if you're not in a relationship, I would maybe start looking at some people in the office. Somebody's taken a liking to you. So that's what I'm currently getting at the moment.
And we have to remember too that our loved ones can pass over and become guides.
Yes, absolutely.
For us. So, some people have these ideas that our loved ones pass over and they're like, oh, my father passed and now he's my guardian angel. And that's not exactly how that works.
Right.
But as far as guides are concerned, that is entirely possible. So it just feels like she's in very close watching everything that you do. A lot of excitement coming your way. So just, keep on rolling with it. I do want to thank you so much for that question. I do want to take a question that's coming in through text from a Jimmy real quick. So we have, let's see, Jimmy wants to know how his grandpa Pat feels about his life, his choices right now. Let me see what we're getting with that. Oof, I feel a little bit of, know that he really adores you and he says that you're a go, 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 go kind of guy, okay? But lately you've been slowing down a bit. And I feel like you're slowing down because you've taken on, I don't want to say that you've taken on more than you can handle. I just feel like you've taken on something kind of new. And I feel like it creates a lot of headaches for you. In a lot of ways, I feel like it's better than what it was. So there are improvements, and I don't feel like you want to let it go. However, it seems like you're going to need to figure out a system to do more for you. You can't keep on 190 miles an hour, 180 miles an hour, whatever they say. You can't continue on at this pace without having some issues with headaches, accumulation of energy buildup in the body that's going to create some sickness, possibly even in the stomach. We can't prescribe diagnose. But I also feel like there's a lot of stuff that you need to say. I feel like there's a lot that you need to say to your loved ones closest to you to create peace and harmony. And right now it's getting choked up in your throat chakra. And one of the reasons that's happening is because you're very busy. And you're saying, I'm too busy. I'm going to put it off for later. And your grandfather's like, there is no later. This is later. Okay? Tree, what are you getting with him?
Immediately started hearing in my head, oh, Jimmy, my boy. Very loving, endearing term. Definitely, there's a lot of love here. He's always with you, keeping an eye on you, and I agree with what you were saying. There seems to be like I'm getting like the speed racer effect, like moving, go, constantly moving, and don't overextend yourself. Don't overexert yourself. Slow down. Take a deep breath. Even take a day to relax.
At least a day.
At least a day.
Yeah, like what's a day in the scheme of things? Definitely.
Really, and so basically just take a day whether you watch a Bills game, Sabres game, even NASCAR, whatnot, or that's over right now, NASCAR. But
I'm sure they have reruns.
I think it is. But definitely try to relax, because if you do keep going and going and going, it's going to end up starting to take its toll.
Yeah, definitely. And congratulations on the family. It looks like beautiful things developing there, but also a lot of work. Okay, thank you so much for that question, Jimmy. And what do we have, Kara?
Well, we do have a thank you from Elizabeth. She said, wow, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And we do have a question from Genzai. Hold on, Genzai 1369, and he asks, Reverend Ivy and Theresa, I'd like to know what my life contract is.
Okay. And what is the name on this person again?
It's JENZHAI 1369.
Okay, hold on a minute here. Let me take a look. That's a great question, okay? I'm basically feeling like the first part of your life, where it went through almost like childhood into the teenage years, and possibly like I'm looking at like almost like the early 20s. Feels like it's being directed in one way. You may feel like you're going in a very traditional route. You may feel like I kind of know what I'm supposed to do. I'm almost feeling like there may be some communication involved, and with the degree, possibly some technology. It almost kind of feels like business smarts. It's kind of, it seems to suit you. It's like I could make a living off of this, and it really seems to make sense. However, there's a very sharp turn right down the middle there. And it feels like as I'm going from like 21 into 22, it's like everything's changing, and I feel very dynamically like you're being pulled in another direction. I feel like you want to talk more. I feel like you want to educate more. I feel like you want to train more. I feel like you're coming into your power. I feel like your type A personality is popping out. And I feel like that does have a lot to do with a past life where you are intensely feeling like you have to complete your work. I feel like you were a leader. I feel like you were a leader in the past, almost in a tribal sort of a way, or like in the town kind of a way. Let me put it this way. It looks like there was also another life where you were more like almost like a politician. You would just be higher up. You would have influence over a lot of things and a lot of decisions that were being made. So in this life, it seems like you're doing that sort of on a smaller, more intimate scale. But nonetheless, it's going to be a bit of a relentless push for you in that direction. And then I feel the potential for 2 kids if you decide to bring them through as part of your group. And the one in particular feels like you worked with also in a past life. Very old soul connection there. Tree, what are you getting?
Definitely, there's a lot that's left over, I feel like, from the previous. It seems like this is my theme.
Yeah.
I'm getting to, upon the contract signing, really, that an agreement, part of the agreement is to really be open to possibilities. Things shift entirely too quickly, and if you blink, you're going to miss it. You move entirely too fast. The mind moves too fast, and if you don't slow down, things are going to get missed. So opportunities are coming up, and definitely be open to them. I feel more some sort of work. I would say work-related, career-related issues. Sorry, excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. And I just want to say, I just want to say good for you when you approach that mark where you're feeling like, you know what, I have to do something completely different. And a lot of people have a tendency to be stuck, especially in our society. We're stuck. We get that paycheck. We get our mouths fed. We can feed the kids. We're not leaving from my cold, dead grasp. Am I going to have this job right out of my hands and go and do what I'm supposed to be doing? I feel like with you, you're going to be far more bold about it. And it seems like you will actually get a lot of support from the universe with that. So, good for you for being willing to be like, yeah, okay, I invested all of this, and yeah, I feel like I have to make a turn, and I'm going to do it. Because it really is relentless when it's something you have to fulfill. So you may as well, right? Okay, do we have another one coming in?
We do.
Okay.
This one comes from PSI, and the question is, when more than one spirit occupies a body simultaneously, how does that affect the chi or ki flow in the individual?
Okay, well, that's a great question, and I don't know everything about this. However, I'll say this. This is what we wanted to get onto next, okay? So we'll just sort of answer this and start running into the rest of the topic here. What we were discussing yesterday at class was how multiple souls can be residing in one body. This was something that I never entertained until I had met someone that it was happening to. And I have gone from a place of, maybe that's possible, but how disrespectful. And why would the universe do this? Or why would, God allow this? Or, how can this be? It's not exactly that simple. I believe that in certain circumstances, it's more of an agreement. It's more of a sharing, a community space. And at other times, it does seem like a bit of an invasion. So as far as the flow of energy is concerned, from what I've seen, it would appear that I've looked at people who are living in harmony with it. I've also watched people who are dealing with walk-ins who are in harmony with it. And then I've witnessed some that are not in harmony with it. And if they're not, I believe we could be seeing diagnoses such as
multiple personality, split personality disorder. There also is the schizophrenia, unfortunately, and from what I'm understanding too, because I'm learning about this as well, is that basically some of the spirits, or that may come in, not necessarily spirits, but souls that may come in, they can come in a little bit too hard. They can come in a little bit too forceful, and they just want to embody a vehicle, basically. And when that happens, the original inhabitor of this body, it's almost as like they fall asleep. It's kind of like a blacking out, so to speak, and the other one kind of takes over, and that's when they're entirely too strong. But you're absolutely right. There are ones that live in harmony. They're aware that the other one's there. They're aware that there's another one over here, and they just kind of go about their daily life.
Right. So it's really going to depend on the individual situation, but thank you for that question. And let's get a little bit more into this while we're sort of on this kick. I think that people need to overcome some of their stigmas with this and their fear. I had a very strong bias against it. I honestly did not want to entertain the possibility of this. Like, there's almost too much going on in this life as it is, just being, one person. But experiencing it, watching it with a few other people really helped me to realize that they really can handle it the majority of the time. I think most of the people that this is going on with, they're handling it. They're not even diagnosed with some kind of a disorder. They just, they're a little bit different than other people. And when we were talking about walk-ins, yesterday, I thought that was really interesting. I have a student in here who believes that this is what happened to him back when he underwent surgery, which is super common. Somebody goes under. Nobody's going to be getting anything done anytime soon. You go under for, I'm going to have my wisdom tooth out, or I'm going to have some minor procedure, and you wake up, you're not exactly yourself. It wasn't anything major that he went under for, but it also happens, of course, most commonly when they're like near-death experiences and, bigger events, tragic accidents and things like this. But he essentially woke up feeling complete disconnect from his family, from his friends, from his life, from his interest, from a sex drive, from everything that was normal and a part of his everyday life. And he noticed it almost immediately, but he said, he was comical about it yesterday, because what did he say? He's like, my mom walked into the room, and I look up at her coming out of the surgery, and I'm like, do I know you? Like, do we have to have this conversation? How long are you going to be in here? And it seems so cold, and it seems so harsh. But some of the questions we were picking his brain about were, do you feel like you don't remember them at all? And he said...
Well, he said he's aware. If I believe, let me remember correctly here. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But from what I remember, he was basically saying that it's like he's aware that his mom's his mom, his sister's his sister, but it's like it feels as if there's no real emotional attachment.
Yep.
There wasn't at one point. There wasn't emotional attachment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, broken heart here, because I'm a very family oriented person.
Right.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine doing that to my mom, even though it wasn't purposely done, really.
Well, and it sounds like a lot of the stories, and I'm writing a book on this, and I've done some interviews, and it sounds like the families actually handle it quite well, because it's not like the person's dead.
No,
I mean, it could be worse. They're there. They're just not connecting in the same way that they used to. And I think most people who go through, have a walk-in, they almost feel guilty about it. Like, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to reject the people, and they're very, they don't want to reject them, but the truth is they feel no need to reach out. And yes, they can remember the life events together. They have memory of the history, but they're just not feeling it.
I can only assume, too, is that when that happens, to me it seems like it's almost as if a form of amnesia, where you just all of a sudden don't remember, like face may look familiar, but it's like, do I know you, and so forth.
Right.
Not saying it is, but it certainly does appear to be like some sort of an amnesia of sorts.
And the other interesting question we were asking him was, are you, if you feel kind of numb, it's sort of like a past life regression. If you have one of these, whether it's in your dreams or it's while you're awake, you go through a little bit of a past life regression. You're watching yourself from the sidelines, watching this other person who doesn't look anything like what you look like in this life, but you have a familiarity. You're very drawn to that particular person. You feel like you know them. For all of those of you who have dismissed what you think is something, a skit going on in your imagination, that's you watching yourself in a past life. So we had asked him, is it sort of like that? And he said, yeah, it's kind of like I'm a part of my life. I'm obviously moving this body, I'm here, but it's as though someone else stepped in and I'm kind of watching the show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of viewing this whole thing from a separate space. Very interesting. Very interesting stuff. So we want to move on to a few more questions. Again, I'm going to give the call in, okay? For those of you who want to ask on this topic or you have a question for me or Tree, psychic, paranormal, lost objects, you can call in or log into para-x.com or text at 716-602-1391. Kara, what do we have?
Well, we do have a thank you from Sai and from Gen Zai. They both said thank you. And our next question comes from Chrissy. She says, does my father, who is in spirit, have any messages for me?
Your dad. Okay, let's see what we're getting. I feel like chin up, chin up. And I feel a little bit like you're playing a game in life right now of checkers, kind of like you're playing a game of chess. It feels like you're going between what seemed like a not so complicated phase in life where I feel like I'm talking about relationships and work, which would represent more the game of checkers where you're like, this isn't so hard. I've got this. But then over here to the future a little ways, it feels like it's turning into a game of chess, which is going to be a little bit more complicated. You may feel as though you're approaching a time when you're sort of up against an opponent, and the opponent would be more like the world, okay? Or the, obstacles that you have to outsmart. Just know that he's with you, and he's talking about high energy.
I'm not getting anything. You go.
Oh, okay. Okay. And so he's talking about high energy or chin up, and just keep on going. Everything that you're going to need while you're going through this phase is to build you up and get you to where you're really supposed to be. It feels like there was a little bit of mishap there for a while where you need to really evolve on to the next thing. And it seems as though, you were a little almost stagnant, or your vision on the whole thing was a little clouded on where you're supposed to be going. But it feels like in taking some blind steps in faith going forward, that's exactly what you're going to need to do. All your ducks won't be in a row. Everything you need to see won't be clearly laid out in front of you, but Dad will be there helping and guiding you along. And I also feel like a red rose for a birthday or anniversary around this time, and like a cupcake, which, again, could also mean a birthday, but I feel like he's like giving you a cupcake, like you're a cupcake, like love you cupcake. Okay, so treat yourself to something nice, and something about the bathtub. And I almost feel like, be careful getting, this is a little awkward, but it's almost like be careful stepping out of the bathtub. It's almost like you're not putting down enough towels, or something sloppy is going on in there. And I just feel like he's very watchful over you. He also travels with you in the car quite a great deal, and he manipulates the radio. Okay, loves you very, very much. No, okay, we're going to move on. What's the next one?
Well, right now, we don't have any coming in right here, but Chrissy says right on and wow.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for that. Okay, well, sort of getting back over to what we were talking about, Tree, I want to pick your brain a little bit on this. I know you have an interesting perspective on what wanderers are, or why they're really even here.
Well, it's believed that wanderers are thought of as souls connected to other places, planets, realms, and so forth, and who have come here on a mission basically to help people get ready for events that may take place and so forth. Help humanity in that, and perhaps a visit from ET or so forth isn't so far off or anything, but
right.
They basically, with wanderers, they basically come and go. I mean, they can be visible at times, and then they may not be visible at times, and they just kind of step in. And even if you feel that there's a slight change or a slight little off jolt to something that's like, well, what was that? It could be one of them just being like, well, here it is, you're prepared, let's go. And it doesn't have to be a big, giant, traumatic event. It could just be a small little bump in your life.
Right. Well, I was sitting at a table one time with a boyfriend of mine, and the waitress came over and looked right at him and bent over and said, "You are lucky to have her." And then walked away, and we were so freaked out, and this was so true. And I was like, you know what, that had to be your mother on the other side. I was like, that was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. We had to pick our jaws up off the ground. It made no sense. She didn't talk to any other table. She had no reason to be going down that aisle at the time. It was very, very bizarre. That reminds me of one of those situations. Or have you ever just been talking to somebody, and for those psychics out there that like their drinks, you've ever found yourself like in a bar or at a party and you're running at the mouth, here she goes, she's got a little liquor in her, and it's like you're just full on channeling. It's almost like you're just giving all this information. You don't even remember doing it, or you kind of can't stop. Do you think it's sort of like that, or do you think it's more of almost like, this almost reminds me of an angel, like an earth angel that would step in, or an angel that would step into somebody's body and then use them?
Yeah, I really think so, because it's believed that they're more visible. And also it's like if there's a wanderer who just for some reason becomes lost and can't remember, can't find their mission, it could be somebody simply at a coffee house just sitting at a table crying for no reason, and you're distracted from your everyday life, as busy as you might be, and you look over and you say, "Are you okay?" That may well have very well have been their mission, to actually distract you from what's ever going on in your mind, to help them in their moment. Mm-hmm. So that's possible too. I think it could be wanderers are more like the walk-in type, like they just kind of like come in and then they go, stay for whatever length of time that they're supposed to stay, and then they carry on their mission and they go.
Well, thank God we have things like this going on, and this really makes me loosen up a little bit more. I'm a pretty paranoid person. I don't want to get too far out on a limb on anything that makes me uncomfortable, especially considering what I do. I've had enough. But, it really makes me hope that with opportunities like multiple souls, walk-ins, wanderers, angels coming in and taking over, things like this, that we maybe are moving toward a greater period of, this enlightenment that we're supposedly in, where people are waking up and times are being shaken up, and we're going through sort of like a revolution, and we're realizing that we have to better things and better humanity in order to evolve and survive everything. And it seems like there's a lot of increase in this, going on. So it gives me hope that more can get done with this outside help.
I would hope so. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, I want to get a little bit on to talk of this idea of having soul attachments. And to me, that feels a lot like multiple souls. Do you agree, or do you sort of have a different perspective on that?
No, I agree, because it's like it can be one, just you and one, or it ends up being very, many. And depending upon the surrounding environment, if there's a lot of trauma going on, a lot of circumstances going on, it's believed that we leave ourselves vulnerable. And if there is a soul that's looking to inhabit, they'll just hitch on for the ride. And then there's another one. Okay. And then it can become more, and that's just how like the multiple personality disorder and so forth can be affected. It is believed that this is one way that comes into effect. That's
one way that it comes into effect. Okay, so that's interesting. So again, to break this down, we have the idea that through multiple soul attachments, we could have someone who went through some kind of trauma and his soul sort of snuck in and then is residing in there. I've also seen where people are, it would appear, born with this. Where they have multiples, and the only way to know something like that, is really through like multiple readings, multiple angles, different people commenting on it who know about this, and it looks like they came in that way, but it does seem to have a trauma element. Yes. I'll admit that. Yes. This isn't as sweet as some of the other things. It's not quite as helpful, and it seems like there's a lot more combative energy going on, a lot more almost like blackouts or bad behavior or, trouble getting along with others, because you can have the original soul that is able to get along with the people in their life, possibly also people who are part of their soul group. They're people who they were reborn with multiple times over and over in past lives. Yeah. And now in this one, they can't kind of get it right because they have multiple souls living in them. So that seems to be one of the battles that goes on.
And sorry, but it does seem also that those other souls can actually be more present during anger situations.
Yes.
If there is a person who really can't handle conflict and they can't handle, that type of thing, then this other soul will just come right in and fight the battle,
right,
and then come out. And it's like, it's kind of one of the symptoms actually is that if the person seems like a completely different person when they become angry, you had somebody step in for you,
basically,
that took care of the situation, and then you're like, well, what just happened?
And I had a friend that this happened with, and I was told repeatedly that in past lives we always got along, but in this one there are 3 souls in that person's body, and the only time we're able to get along because the other 2 souls don't like me is when that person is actually that soul stepping forward. But in a moment of heat, I'll tell you what, that was somebody else, and it was very, very bizarre to watch, but it really does explain a lot. If you have connections with people that you know go way, way back to previous lives, you feel very connected to them, and you can't explain some of the difficulties that go on, you may very well be looking at somebody with multiple, souls living in them. I just want to say on this note too, this really is very different. This multiple personality looking disorder type thing really is different than schizophrenia in a lot of ways. Absolutely. I think you probably agree with me on this because I feel like with schizophrenia, and this is part of what I'm covering in the book that I'm writing on empathic ability, I feel like they're hearing spirits. Yeah. I'm not saying that something can't be in there,
right?
But it seems like they're communicating more. They're hearing more of what most people have learned to turn off or are able to turn off. Do you agree with that, or do you have a different perspective?
I can definitely agree with what you're saying on that. I really can see how that has a big part of it, and it could very well, this is the other side of it, I suppose, is that it could be viewed as the, like the whole soul thing, that they just, it's that there's so many that may be inhibiting the person that they could be hearing them do.
Sure.
So, but I really do feel toward the empathic part as well.
It's really wild. And what I'm excited about with the book is working with some people with like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder and things like this. And I'm going to put them through the training, because when people come into the academy and they train in psychic mediumship development and empathic ability, they end up not having disorders anymore. It's not a guarantee, but it has been happening for several years. So, doctors are coming in here and psychiatrists and therapists, they want to know what the heck is going on in here, that these people no longer need meds. It'll be really cool to break it down into these almost like case studies, and I will be able to work with the doctors, and I'm going to be able to work with their therapists, and we're going to find out through the traditional psychic mediumship and empathic training what will happen to the schizophrenia, what will happen to the bipolar disorder, and what is a walk-in or multiple souls. I think this will help give us some answers too. And we have questions, Kara?
We do, actually. Right. We have one coming in through Para X, and this is from Dragon Eye. Their question is, the person I'm with currently feels almost completely connected with me. I want to know if you pick up on that and what you might see for a future for us. I'm sorry for the tacky question. I just want to know.
Okay, I don't think it's really a tacky question. No, that's actually like the most common question out there. Let me see what I'm getting with this. I'm feeling like a little bit of hardship, almost like a 3-month period of having to kind of learn how to compromise. And I feel like some information coming in, primarily not with you, but from that from your partner. It feels like it's coming from them, and it's sort of sparking some changes and some need to be working with this person and sorting things out. I also feel like this person is really distracted, going through a period of time. Now, mind you, I'm not just talking about like right now. I'm talking about now and into the next 3 to 4 months. I feel like there's some stress and there's a lot of sort of confusion in that person's head that could lead you to almost feel like their brain is somewhere else. I feel like be empathetic to that situation and don't take it to heart. But yeah, I feel long-term prosperity with it, and the potential for a minimum of 7 years out that I'm looking at, where it could be solidified into something very valuable, with a ton of education and almost like a building up of some kind of a business together. Very interesting. A lot of potential outside of the love life. What are you getting with this?
I'm getting a really good partnership here. Like, I'm seeing like locking hands, to be honest with you. And I'm seeing, I feel like there's some anxiety or something that may be coming from the other person, where there feels like they resort right back to you. Like there's like almost like, I hate to say this, but a little bit of a pushiness or a neediness. I think that is also kind of mixed with just all the love that they really have, and this is just kind of how they really show it. But that locking hands, like, hey, you're good, Maybe take a deep breath, relax a little bit. I'm not going anywhere, kind of a thing. But definitely maybe give them some reassurance too, if you have not already. But I really just kind of feel like there's this like beaming love that's going on and a nice longevity to it too.
Yeah, there really is. And I want to say that when you have a bond like that, be real quick to poo-poo all the other obstacles that come up. I mean, be real quick.
It can become confusing too, where you're like, is this what I want? Or, what do I do? But then, if you're apart for even a couple hours, you're like, come back.
Yeah, exactly. That really does define it, is if you can't be without this person, forget everything else and just work with that amazing energy.
You're good.
Because it will never die.
Yes.
It is connected to past lives. It does mean that you have a soulmate connection, and that ain't going anywhere, so you're better off to work with it and roll. Okay, what do we have next?
Well, our next question comes in through Para X through Wudgie Cakes.
Oh, we love you, Wudgie Cakes. Can we all just say Wudgie Cakes?
Yes!
How can we help Wudgie Cakes?
The big question is, I have a big question. My husband and I have been married for 19 years. Do you see us lasting, or is a breakup in the future?
I'll be completely honest. I'm seeing a little bit of a divide coming up. I feel like what we need is a little bit of space. And I feel like primarily when I'm looking over here with your partner, it feels to me that there needs to be some time alone. I feel like this person has been bombarded with so much. There has not been a time for a pause. There has not been a time for, assessing what's been going on in my life. We've been moving at such a warped, rapid speed for so long. And in particular, in your partner's life, there have been separate things that have been going on that have caused that person to move at that speed. Ultimately, though, hey, we got to take ownership for our energy, right? So that's on your partner to pull away, to take that time. I think that what you should be doing during that time is pulling your own energy away, going, playing, having fun, being respectful, not crossing too many boundaries. But it feels like really kind of keep your energy a little bit more to yourself and allow them that space to grow. And I feel like a very potential kind of coming back. What are you getting with this?
The funny thing is like my as we talk about symbols, I mean, that's another topic altogether, but one of my symbols is hearts. And generally with these hearts, depending on what they look like, really kind of determines. This is a new one for me, but my guides like to be very vague. Basically, it's a bruised heart, which means, it doesn't mean that anybody's been beaten up here. It just means that there has been some, like, battles, like, not between the two of you, but there's been a lot of, just a lot of issues going on, like stress and different things like that are affecting the person. And generally with one person is affected by a lot of stress, it will start to wear on the relationship a bit. I don't really see a breakup, but I do see some time where you have to kind of find yourselves again and then bring it back together to where there's the focus on the relationship and the love, the strong love that was there. It's still there, but it's like it's just kind of like relaxing a little bit. But I would say, yeah, take your time, get to know yourselves and each other again. Like, maybe look at this as a little bit of a, like, kind of like a relaxation, but stay there. The support is there. The love is there.
The love is definitely there, and that's
there.
really refreshing to see.
Yeah.
Especially the way that you're asking this question, I have to say, I feel like you're such a respectful person. Both of you. You're just both just really lovely people. And I think that every now and again, we need to take time for ourselves. We need to relearn who we are. We need to allow ourselves to be rebirthed. And with work and kids and family and let's go. That's what this is really about. Yeah. And we can't allow the confines of society to tell us, yeah, but you're married, but you're not allowed. Yes, you are allowed. Design your life. I want to say that next time, too, on next week's show, I think it would be pretty cool, Tree, if you can come on again. I'd like to talk about symbols.
Okay.
During that week, wouldn't that be fun? And so we'll see if we can drag Tree back in here again. But yeah, we're talking about how exactly psychic mediumship works here at the Academy all the time, and symbols are a huge part of how to do this. So maybe next week we can kind of break down for the listeners how exactly they can start reading, how they can learn to be a psychic medium through basic systems, including symbology, and we'll break down some of the symbols and what they feel like and what they mean, and we'll get you guys started on your own. Any more questions?
Actually, we do. This one comes in through text from a 262 number, and the question is, do you see anything for my life contract, or can you tell me anything about it? Thanks.
Okay. From a 262 number. Okay, I guess we're going to go by that. And when you guys send your questions in, I'm stuck on something. And Trey, I don't know if you need to touch this to get a little bit more energy off of it or not, but there it is. When you guys are sending in your questions, it's great if you could send a name with it, just so we can more easily sort of jump into your energy here. Okay, so do you see anything from my life contract, or can you tell me anything about it from Ranganork? Actually, we do have a name, Ranganork.
I didn't want to butcher it, sorry.
I think I just did that for you. It's okay. Let me see what I'm getting. Yeah, but that helps a lot because there's a flood of information right there. Okay, so I want to say this. I feel like you're finishing up 2 past lives in this life. It feels like, almost like in the beginning of your life, it feels like there were a lot of images of another past life, a third past life, coming up in your personality and your characteristics. I almost feel like very deep nature with you. I feel like a kind of old wise soul. And then I feel like you got a little bit more high strung. I feel like you got high energy. I feel like you got a little bit almost scattered in some ways. But I do feel like you have a great determination and an ability to focus and get the job done. I feel like as that life passed out, and there will be a little bit more coming up as you're older, like actually quite like elderly. I feel like that third life will be coming in again with your personality, a little bit more knowledgeable and all of this, helping people. In between, I feel like you're primarily wrapping up business from 2 previous lives leading into this one. And I do feel like we go way, way back, basically to a time when people weren't wearing a ton of clothing. It looks like you're building. It looks like you look male. And it looks like you would have been building. I'm watching you taking wooden logs, and you're kind of putting them all almost like you're building a house or a hut. And it seems to me like you have a bit of the engineer's mind in this life, which would mean that you understand systems, how things fit together. You may also find yourself to be a pretty good communicator because you understand how people work together in networks. There may also be some inclination toward musical talent. And it feels like as long as you're working in a place where you're fixing things, putting things together, making systems be more effective, it looks like you're going to have a lot of success. And when you pull away from that, it seems to get a little bit stale. Tree, what are you getting?
I'm basically getting that due to the 2 past lives that are basically affecting now, it's like definitely it's like you took the words right out of my mouth, to be honest.
Like we're psychic or something. Crazy business.
Can you imagine that? We're psychic. But there seems to be like there are too many times of confusion or feeling lost, and I think that when there's even those moments of feeling tired or even a little bit of laziness, things start to kind of come in, like you should be doing something but you're not doing something and so forth. But definitely a busy person, definitely somebody who's really just hands-on and just a lot of things in motion and so forth. But when you're finishing up, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're finishing up one or more, life contracts in this one, there's going to be exhausted periods of time because that's a lot of work. That's a lot of things coming in.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Be good to yourself, basically. Take the time to take care of yourself too.
Yeah, definitely. I think that so yeah, thank you so much for that question, and I kind of want to.
We do have one more question that just came in if there's time. We got about 5 minutes left on the show.
Okay.
Don't
yeah,
twist
absolutely.
My arm, no.
Okay, all right. We're going to take it. This one comes from J3 through Para X. You mentioned walk-ins before. Could you explain how walk-ins are perceived, or if it is something that one should be cautious of?
Okay. All right. Well, that's a great question to kind of probably be wrapping up on here. So essentially, the way walk-ins tend to be perceived is as a problematic situation. And the more research that I did on it, and the more people that I met and interviewed who have had these, they don't really perceive it that way at all. I also have worked with some of the families, and I don't feel that the families perceive it that way. I'm not saying everyone's like happy about it, but I'm going to put it this way. From my own paranoid stance, this is my body. I don't want to share my body. I don't plan on sharing my body. If this happens to me, I will not be okay with it. However, if I were to go under, or I had a near-death experience, or for whatever reasons I did have a walk-in, I would put money on it that I would actually be okay with it. I would put money on it that I would be sort of sitting back and kind of watching calmly, and that I would feel like a participant in my life, and that I would just have a very different perspective on my relationships and all of that, and that I would be rebuilding my life, and that I would be at peace and okay with it. This seems to be the majority of the reactions to it. Tree, do you want to answer that a little bit more?
I mean, obviously we're not experts on this. We learn.
And we've never had one, so we can't say
we learn
for sure
what we learned, but I can assume that, there is a difference. It seems like walk-ins and wanderers are a little bit more the same versus soul attachments, where walk-ins and wanderers are more those who kind of step in and even to help you to get through something, help you to move forward, and they kind of stick around maybe a little bit too long to where you become conscious of what is going on, what is this, who are you, I'm sorry,
right,
and so forth. And I, obviously there's no intent of harm on anyone here, but I really do feel that they're kind of there, and they kind of help, and it's just kind of like one of those things, like hopefully it's, from what I understand, they don't stick around very long. They do what they're supposed to do, and they just kind of move forward, move on.
Well, and in relation to the second part of your question, which was, should I be afraid? If this happened to you or this happened to somebody else that I feel like, no, don't be afraid. This is part of that person's journey, too. They're still in there. They're still part of it. Mm-hmm. But I love the way, my student here, that he said yesterday when we were asking him all about, what happened with him. He said, do you think that it came in because I was at a point in my life where I had maximized everything and I wasn't moving forward, and I was supposed to move on to bigger, better things, and I feel so much like I'm on my path now? Do you think this is possible? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. This could be for something positive. And again, should you be afraid? No. You've gone through puberty, probably, I'm assuming, right? One day you'll go through the change into, your elderly life or whatever. A lot of people won't appreciate that comment, but you're going to go through other changes. When we look at studies on women were so tossed to the side for so long. We didn't have any real studies done on us and our psyche and things. Now we know from some studies that women change so drastically every 7 years that we're almost not even the same person. Not in the sense that we aren't us, but in the sense of who we're attracted to, what men were, or if you go the other way, what women you're drawn to. I mean, what careers you're drawn to, where you feel like your life is taking you. We change just as women alone so drastically. So we really need to embrace whatever changes are coming in, and try not to label this so much. The more I embrace this, the more excited about it I am. We have to wrap up the show. Teresa, thank you so much for being here with us, and we will be talking to you guys again next week at 7 o'clock. Tune in here and feel free to text in your questions too. Find me on Facebook at Ivy Rivera. Also find me at Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com, and log in for classes or Skype in for classes at the Ivy League psychicacademy.com. And you can reach Tree at
on Facebook, Theresa Matuszak, Matusz.